Bitcoin update, and maybe we'll throw in a little bit on the US dollar index as well. This is a Critical Point podcast. It is July 7th, 8:09 a.m. Central Time. I'm Rich Pazin. You're looking at a daily chart of the Bitcoin relative to the US dollar and with some of the model outputs. So here we had a level 2 sell-off, okay? Available demand declined, available supply definitely increased. Then we get a big rally here, large enough to assume, hey, available demand rose, available supply tightened, okay? Now it almost looks like available supply and available demand aren't doing much of anything. People just don't care. They're not really trading it. Lower volatility, it's dull, it's boring. It's gone on long enough to start thinking there can be a breakout here. So what is it? Well, it turns out that the level 2 type of trader and a level 1, which I didn't put on here, meaning the most important influential traders during a year, okay, they sold, they bought, and they sold, but they're trying to, actually they sold here, and they bought, but they're doing a terrible job of buying. It may just be because they're complacent, they don't know what to do, maybe they're confused, maybe they're bored, okay, so there may not be that much significant. What I guess I'm leaning towards is, yeah, but it should have rallied some. It should have done better than this. So I'm concerned this is actually a sign of a weak market, and they're just waiting to sell and perhaps sell a lot, okay? So this should have been a level 2 uptrend, and you can see nothing to it. It didn't work, all right? Now these break down into level 3 zigzags, twists, and turns, just faster phaser waves of available demand, available supply, okay? Well, as it turns out, they're getting weaker as well, and notice this trend line sloping down. Doesn't look good. Looks like it might even be respecting it this morning as Bitcoin's off slightly. Notice this horizontal line crossed by this level 2 that I'll explain in a moment, but look, if I raise that up to this low and this low, it kind of gives the impression of a floor to the market over the past couple of weeks or so, okay? Well, a sideways trend line as a floor and a resistance or top trend line moving down is a technical pattern called a descending triangle, and it's bearish. It means you're losing demand. So the available demand is backing away, okay? The available supply has not increased. They may even be backing away because we got lower volatility. So again, maybe I'm trying to read too much in this, and the market simply doesn't want to do anything and is just waiting on a development and willing to go in any direction. But I'm a little bit concerned. There's a bias here towards less demand than it is supply, increasing supply. So I'm concerned it's the available supply that's going to increase next, and the available demand may even back off more, okay? So the model is also saying it is time for a level 2 top. Just as we had this level 2 top, just as we had this level 2 top, it's a different characteristic and behavior this time, which lowers confidence. Will it work? Well, at least it's somewhat getting near overbought on the daily, okay? So if you see a violation of recent lows, you have to be concerned it is working. It's a bearish descending triangle. It is working that we had at least a level 3 top that is due now, and anytime this week, maybe early next week, but I like this week for a top of the level 3. And if you're looking for the larger level 2, you've got to have a level 3 top to go with it. So it's all coming to alignment that we may see level 3, level 2, and even level 1 that I didn't put on this chart can all be in agreement to start selling. And a level 3 trader might only sell for a few days and then buy some, but the level 2 and level 1 trader could be selling at least for a couple of weeks and maybe even a month. Now let's discuss the correlation to the stock market. In my opinion, this year, Bitcoin was of a positive correlation to the stock market. That correlation has gone away or eroding in recent weeks, okay, because it's refusing to run higher along with the stock market. But I think in general it still has a positive correlation, meaning if the stock market's going higher, Bitcoin goes higher. If the stock market goes lower, Bitcoin goes lower. I'm wondering, is Bitcoin concerned of the future? And we see the S&P 500 kind of dragging its feet, even though the NASDAQ has been pounding out record highs. Are we seeing some internal things in the stock market warning of a top? Are we seeing Bitcoin saying it's more concerned of downside than upside? So I don't like Bitcoin. I think it's got to go lower. It may only go lower a small amount and go higher later this year. and it may go higher longer term in the sense that there is a possibility the US dollar index is going to be bearish for a considerable time. Here's the US dollar index, and it looked like it did put in a 3-year business cycle top, and it should decline into a bottom later this year for a 3-year cycle low. Zooming further out on monthly charts and whatnot, it looks like we're due for a bear market at least by 2022 to 2024, but it can start that bear market this year. There is an alternate forecast, however, that says really the dollar's probably going to head higher into next year, then it's going to go lower into 2022 and perhaps even as late as 2024. And I'm not a major bear in the dollar. I don't think we got a major decline and a crash, but some people think so. But there's others saying, no, the way the money flows and the usage of the dollar around the world is actually going to create a bear market for quite some time, but eventually, yes, it'll be bearish. So my forecast kind of can work with both of those scenarios. I don't know what to tell you more on the dollar here. Ideally, it should bounce a little bit over the next few weeks, and I think that can coincide with lower interest rates, coincide with a sell-off in the stock market, and I think Bitcoin takes the other side of that, and Bitcoin declines as well. Hopefully there's been some assistance here. I'm not a Bitcoin trader. I'm not an investor. I don't know as I have that much faith in it. And I have so many other things and ways to make money. I understand those that think they're going to be millionaires in the next 20 years off Bitcoin. It could very well work. But I still have some doubts of, are we really looking at the right thing here? Is this one of those mania things, hype things like the tulips in the 1500s, 1600s or something like that? And they eventually had a terrible crash. Nevertheless, I think Bitcoin is here to stay, and I want to help out where I can. At the moment, I think Bitcoin has to slip here in coming weeks, but for the next few days, it could still bounce a little bit. So manage your risk if you're trying to go on a bearish side. And I think if you're a bull and in disagreement with me, I'm confident enough to say I hope you're using some sell stops. Thank you.